Hi everyone, Stephanie here from Simply Kids, and today I'm answering a parent question regarding sibling conflict. Now, I want to take a second and read the question first because the parent they provide a lot of information that I think is really helpful. So, the question is, I have a 3-year-old speech and gross motor delayed little man and a 17-month-old little miss. I'm finding it increasingly difficult to navigate between them fighting with each other. Since there's no proper form of communication and just guessing and hoping they will listen, it just talking to them doesn't help. Mr. 3 has taken strong possession over most toys and items that he's played with previously, and if Miss 1 touches it, he becomes extremely angry and pushes or tries to pull her out of the way so he can get it back. This is regardless of if he's been playing with it or if it's been sitting there for hours and she just picks it up. It ends with both crying. I've tried validating feelings of both children, but just end up sitting on the floor holding both crying kids. And since the problem hasn't been solved, it will just repeat itself if I don't take the item away. Okay, so I just want to point out the fact that I think a lot of us can relate to this parent. Sharing toys, even sharing space, is very difficult for children, especially during these early years of childhood. So we've got a toddler, 17 months old, so prime time toddler area, and she's going to be navigating language expansion and learning, how to cope with those big bubbly emotions that she's experiencing. And then we have a 3-year-old boy who might not be able to express some of his emotions and clearly is unable to express some of his ownership of this is mine. So because of that, we have two children who are butting heads. So I can definitely empathize with the parent writing this question, and I think that a lot of us can. So what I want to talk about today is a couple little things. So first off, I want to point out that it makes sense that this would be a really difficult time in both of these children's development. And on top of that, sharing at any age is going to be hard. Even as adults, we don't share a lot of the things that we own. We don't share our cars, we don't share our clothes. So expecting children to be able to share easily and smoothly isn't always, it's just not going to happen sometimes, right? Because it's hard. So first there's the language aspect, which is tricky for both kids because of their age and development. Then sharing is not that easy in the first place. So it kind of makes sense that they'd be butting heads. And I just want to draw attention to the fact that this parent has been so patient and so empathetic towards their children. And I love the way that they phrased the example with at the end they feel like there's no other option but to just hold on to them and let them cry on her or cry on him, and just kind of get through the experience as a team, just holding each other. And I just think that's beautiful. So what I want to do is I want to provide you with an idea that you can introduce with both children, so both ages would be good for this. And this is one of the big things that we focus on when I was working as a co-supervisor in early intensive behavior intervention. So that's working specifically with children with developmental deficits. One of the big things that we worked on was teaching children how to self-regulate. So in order for your 3-year-old to begin expressing his feelings and begin using those language, the first thing that has to start, or what will trigger that in the future, is his ability to regulate his actions and his decisions and his emotions. Okay, and that's not always easy to do. So a great way to introduce this might be something like setting up a floor time activity, or setting up maybe some kind of a game that you play amongst the 3 or 4 of you, however many are in your family or your home. And what you'll be doing is targeting their regulation, target their coping. You can do this one-on-one, or you can do this as a group. And so for example, it might look like sitting on the floor and getting some toys out that that your 3-year-old son really enjoys playing with, and set them up for both of you and take turns playing. So for example, let's say that he's sitting down and playing with Lego or blocks. You can sit down and join him and go, okay, it's my turn. I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, done. Your turn. And then he does some. Okay, now it's my turn again. 3, 2, 1, done. And you're basically just diving in to where he needs to adapt and regulate. So he might have a little bit of a draw to go, no, these are my toys, or you can't play right now, or push you over. And this is where you just gently follow through with a countdown. And what I find is doing that 3, 2, 1, done, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. And you slowly expand the amount of time or the duration that you're playing. And what I find is that children will begin to regulate very quickly because it's fun. They think of it as a game, and it makes it very easy for them to be successful. Whereas if we just dove in and said something like, we're going to put all these toys away, or you need to give all your toys to your sister, you can see how that's a much bigger demand, and they might not be ready for that. They might not be able to regulate through the emotional trigger that that's going to cause. Whereas instead, if it's just a floor time game where you are doing a time-based interval, you're going to find that he's much more likely to adapt. And then you can introduce the younger sister to come in. Now, would you like to join us now? How about you do some blocks too? And now all three of you are doing the same regulation game. That's just one example of how you can begin expanding that self-regulation and that coping that often gets in the way during those sharing skills during these early years.